Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most shocking and dramatic storylines currently unfolding on The Bold and the Beautiful. If you've been following Carter Walton's romantic journey, you already know that his love life has been quite the roller coaster. But nothing could have prepared him for the shocking discovery he's about to make about his fiancée, Daphne Rose. This is a story filled with betrayal, suspicion, and the kind of soap opera drama that keeps us glued to our screens week after week. So let's break down everything that's happening, starting from the beginning. The setup. Love in the fast lane. Carter Walton has always been a man with a clear vision of his future. After everything he's been through with his previous relationships, he's finally found someone who believes it's worth putting his whole heart into. That person is Daphne Rose, a sophisticated and seemingly accomplished woman who works in the fragrance industry. The relationship developed quickly, but in the world of soap operas, that's not unusual. What is unusual, however, is how rapidly things have escalated between them. When Daphne mentioned that she was considering leaving Los Angeles to resettle Paris, Carter panicked. The thought of losing her was unbearable, so he did what many men do when they're desperate to keep a woman they love. He proposed. It was a grand, romantic gesture filled with passion and the kind of devotion that fans of the show had come to expect from Carter. Daphne said yes, and suddenly they were engaged, with plans for a wedding and a future together in Paris. Everything seemed perfect on the surface. Their engagement came with big plans. Not only were they going to get married, but they also discussed starting a family and building a life together in Paris. The dream seemed to be falling into place. They were racing toward the altar with what fans would describe as a baby goal in mind. Carter was openly expressing his desire to becoming a father, and Daphne appeared to be on board with the entire plan. To anyone watching from the outside, this looked like a match made in heaven. But as with all good soap opera stories, appearances can be incredibly deceiving. The red flags begin. Something isn't quite right. As weeks passed following the proposal, Carter began to notice something peculiar. Whenever the conversation turned to paperwork, legal documents, visas, or any of the bureaucratic necessities involved in relocating to Paris, Daphne would suddenly become invasive. Her demeanor would change. The confident, articulate women he'd fallen for became nervous, avoiding eye contact and deflecting the conversation. These weren't just small moments of hesitation either. They were consistent, recurring patterns that gradually began to eat away at Carter's confidence in their relationship. At first, Carter dismissed these strange behaviors. Perhaps Daphne was just stressed about the moving process. Maybe she was worried about leaving her job or her connections in Los Angeles. Maybe she was anxious about the legal aspects of international relocation. There could be 100 innocent explanations for her odd reactions. But Carter is a thoughtful man who pays attention to details, and these details were beginning to accumulate in a way that didn't sit right with him. The evasiveness wasn't limited to just the paperwork discussions either. Whenever he would try to have serious conversations about their future, about making things official and moving forward with their plans, Daphne would find ways to avoid giving him direct answers. She would change the subject, make excuses, or suddenly become very busy with work commitments. These behaviors started to trigger something in Carter's mind, a growing sense that something was very wrong, something that Daphne wasn't telling him. The bombshell and intercepted conversation reveals the truth. Just when Carter was beginning to suspect that something was off, fate intervened in a way that would shatter everything he thought he knew about Daphne Rose. He accidentally overheard a phone conversation that Daphne was having, a conversation that was never meant for his ears. This wasn't a situation where he was deliberately eavesdropping or being sneaky. It was one of those moments where circumstances aligned perfectly to expose a closely guarded secret. What he heard in that conversation changed everything. The conversation revealed that Daphne wasn't leaving Los Angeles to pursue a career opportunity or to seek a fresh start for purely romantic reasons. She was running. She was fleeing Europe, fleeing from a significant legal problem that had forced her to abandon her previous life on the continent. This wasn't a case of cold feet or uncertainty about their relationship. This was something far more serious and far more troubling. According to what Carter overheard, Daphne was caught up in some kind of serious legal trouble in Europe. The nature of the issue wasn't entirely clear from the fragments of conversation he managed to piece together, but it was clearly significant enough to force her to abandon everything and start anew. This wasn't a minor legal inconvenience like a parking ticket or a small dispute. This was the kind of legal entanglement that would compel someone to completely uproot their life and flee to another continent to escape it. The realization hit Carter like a ton of bricks. The woman he was about to marry, the woman with whom he planned to build a family and spend the rest of his life, had been systematically deceiving him about something fundamental to her very identity. She had allowed him to believe a completely fabricated story about why she needed to leave Europe, and more troublingly, she had conveniently positioned him as the solution to her problem. The devastating question, am I just a means to an end, with this shocking information fresh in his mind. Carter was forced to confront a question that no man in love ever wants to ask. Has the woman I love been using me? Is our entire relationship based on a lie designed to help her escape from her problems? Am I nothing more than a convenient escape route for someone fleeing from legal troubles? The implications of this possibility were staggering. If Daphne was indeed running from a serious legal problem in Europe, then marrying an American citizen and settling in Los Angeles with him would provide her with exactly the kind of cover she needed. A new identity as a married woman living across the ocean, completely separated from her past, would give her the distance and the protection she needed from whatever legal consequences were chasing her. And Carter, in his desperation to keep her, had played directly into her hands by offering her exactly that security, marriage, a new life, a fresh start in a different country. As Carter processed this bitter realization, he began to mentally reconstruct their entire relationship through this new lens. He started questioning moments that had previously seemed innocent or romantic. Her eagerness to marry him so quickly, was that genuine affection, or was it desperation born from her legal situation? Her occasional nervousness and evasiveness, were those signs of guilt? Her rush to make concrete plans for Paris, was that because she was truly excited about their future together, or because she desperately needed to escape from whatever was pursuing her in Europe? Every conversation, every gesture, every moment of intimacy took on a sinister new meaning when viewed through the prism of potential manipulation. Carter felt foolish. He felt betrayed. He felt like a pawn in someone else's game, used and manipulated by a woman he had genuinely cared for and wanted to build a life with. The nature of the legal trouble, what could it be? One of the burning questions that arises from this revelation is, what exactly is the nature of Daphne's legal troubles? While the specifics haven't been fully disclosed in the conversation Carter overheard, the fact that it's serious enough to force her to flee the continent suggests that it's not a minor matter. We're not talking about a civil dispute or a simple contract disagreement here. We're talking about something significant enough to completely uproot a life and force someone to disappear. The possibilities are numerous and troubling. Could it be related to financial fraud or embezzlement? Could it involve criminal charges? Could it be connected to a debt situation so severe that her creditors or authorities were actively pursuing her? Could it be something involving other people? Perhaps a business partner she wronged, or someone from her personal life? The audience is left to speculate, but whatever the truth may be, it's clearly serious and clearly something that Daphne felt compelled to hide from Carter. The most disturbing aspect of this situation is that Daphne didn't trust Carter enough to be honest with him about her problems. In a healthy, loving relationship, partners are supposed to be able to confide in each other about serious issues, even shameful ones. But Daphne chose to lie instead. She chose to construct an elaborate deception to hide the truth about her situation. This speaks volumes about either her character or the depth of the problem she's facing, or quite possibly both. The moment of confrontation, when Carter demands the truth. As anyone who watches soap operas knows, secrets like this never stay buried for long. Carter is a man of integrity, and the knowledge of Daphne's deception is eating him alive. He's been betrayed by the woman he loves, and now he has to decide what to do with this information. Will he confront her directly? Will he give her a chance to explain herself? Or will he simply walk away from the relationship, unwilling to be entangled in whatever legal mess she's fled from? The confrontation that's coming will be emotionally charged and explosive. Carter will demand answers from Daphne. He'll want to know exactly what legal trouble she's running from, exactly why she lied to him, and exactly how long she was planning to let him remain in the dark about her true situation. He'll want to know if their entire relationship has been based on a calculated deception designed to solve her problems, or if there's any genuine emotion underlying their connection. Daphne, for her part, will have to make a choice. Will she come clean and tell him the truth, hoping that honesty and an explanation might help salvage their relationship? Will she double down on her lies and create an even more elaborate cover story? Will she play the victim and try to make Carter feel guilty for not understanding her circumstances without being told? Or will she simply run again, abandoning Los Angeles just as she abandoned Europe? The larger impact consequences beyond Carter and Daphne. While the emotional fallout from this betrayal will primarily affect Carter and Daphne, the ripples of this scandal will extend throughout the Forrester family and beyond. Carter has important relationships with other members of the show's cast, and his heartbreak could affect his professional relationships and his standing within Forrester Creations. Beyond that, if Daphne is indeed fleeing from serious legal troubles, those troubles could potentially follow her to Los Angeles, creating complications not just for her, but for anyone connected to her. Additionally, there's the question of what this situation says about Daphne's character and what viewers should think of her. Is she a victim of circumstances who made poor choices and is now trying to escape from past mistakes? Or is she a manipulative schemer who deliberately targeted Carter because she knew she could use him? The answer to these questions will determine how the audience views her character going forward, and whether there's any possibility of redemption for her in the show's narrative. The future, what comes next? At this point in the story, the immediate future is uncertain. The wedding plans are presumably in jeopardy. Carter's trust has been shattered. The engagement hangs in the balance as Carter processes the betrayal and tries to figure out whether he can move forward in this relationship. The pair's relocation plans are on hold. Everything that seemed so solid just days ago now feels fragile and uncertain. The Bold and the Beautiful thrives on this kind of dramatic uncertainty. Viewers will be left guessing about what happens next. Will Carter and Daphne break up? Will Daphne's legal troubles catch up with her in Los Angeles? Will there be a redemptive moment where Daphne explains herself and Carter forgives her? Will there be an even bigger revelation that changes everything we think we know about this situation? Only time will tell. What we do know is that Carter Walton's dream of a perfect future with Daphne Rose has been severely complicated by her deception. The trust that is fundamental to any healthy relationship has been broken. And repairing that trust, if it's even possible, will require genuine honesty, vulnerability, and a willingness from both parties to